Hello student, our today's topic is classification of natural drugs. Introduction. The crude drug obtained from different natural sources are used in treatment of wide spectrum of diseases for their adequate study. It is necessary to arrange them in a scientific and systematic manner. Their huge number and varied occurrence make it difficult to put them in a uniform pattern. Classification. First class is alphabetical classification. Second, morphological classification. Third, pharmacological classification. Fourth, chemical classification. Fifth, taxonomical classification. Sixth, chemotaxonomical classification. So, in alphabetical classification, either the Latin names or English name of drugs are considered for this. Purpose of classification. This classification is adopted by the following books. First one is British Pharmacopoeia. Second, British Pharmaceutical Codex. 3. United States Pharmacopoeia. 4. Pharmacopoeia International. Indian Pharmacopoeia. British Herbal Pharmacopoeia. The advantages and disadvantages. First, it is easy method. Second, drug arrangement in alphabetical. And the last one is all drugs are in reference book. These are the advantages of alphabetical classification. Disadvantages. First one is no distinguish between plant and animal mineral drug, organized or unorganized. Our second class is morphological classification. This type of classification, the crude drugs are divided into the parts of plants like leaves, fruits, flowers, woods, bark, extract, gums, etc. Leaves, example is digitalis leaves, senna leaves, vasaca leaves, eucalyptus leaves. Woods, sandalwood, bark, cinchona bark, cinnamon bark, arjuna bark, and cascara bark. Fourth, flowers, clove, rose, saffron, and santonica. Fruits, lemon, fennel, coriander, and orange. And the last one is seed. In the seed, nux vomica, nutmeg, linseed, and colchium. 7 subterranean parts. 8 is entire organism. 9 is gum. 10th is latex. 11th is dried juice. And 12 is extract. The advantages of morphological classification used for practical purpose. These are used for to identify drug. These are used for identify the adulterants. Disadvantages of morphological classification. There is a difficult to classify them properly. It is also having same drug cannot display or identify. And the last disadvantage is it doesn't give idea about chemical nature of drug. Our third classification is pharmacological classification. This system of classification the drugs according to the pharmacological action of them. Chief constituent, first one is carminative, purgative, cardiotonic, anti-enthalmatics, anti-cancer, anti-amoebic, and bitters, each class having their own examples. Carminative means a substance that removes the gases from the GI tract, for example cardamom. Purgative suggests a more fluid evacuation, that is castor oil, aloe, cascara, and rhubarb. Cardiotonic, these are the drugs which increases the force of contraction of cardiac muscles. Fourth, anti-enthalmatic, substances used to expel the worms out of intestine like threadworm, tapeworm, and roundworm. Fifth, anti-cancer, these are the drugs which are used in the treatment of cancer. 6. Anti-amoebic, drug that prevent vomiting. 7. Bitter substances characterized by bitter taste. Example, nux vomica and cinchona. Advantages, it contains of the drugs are not known but they can be classified properly on the basis of pharmacological properties. Second, it gives idea about therapeutic uses of drugs. Disadvantage, it does not give idea about chemical nature of drug. Pharmaceutical aids cannot be classified. And the last disadvantage is drugs having two different action on body, difficult to classify. Chemical classification. This type of classification is applicable to crude drugs containing similar type of chemicals. It is useful for phytochemical studies of crude drugs. Alkaloids, aconite, cinchona, nux vomica, ipecac, belladonna, opium, tea. Second chemical classification is glycoside. Third one is lipid. Next, volatile oil, tannins, vitamins. Resin and resin combinations are also there. And the last one is carbohydrate and derivative of products. Each class having their own examples. Advantages of chemical classification. It is useful for phytochemical studies of crude drugs. Disadvantages. This type of classification fails in a proper placement of drugs containing different type of chemicals. Next is taxonomical classification. Taxonomy means science of systematically naming and organizing organism into the similar groups. The science system of classification divides all living things in the groups called as taxa, and the drugs are classified according to the class, subclass, family, genus, species and order. So in this chart we can see class, order, family, drugs of each class. Next classification is chemotaxonomical classification. It is a recent approach to the study of classification of crude drugs wherein equal importance is given to their taxonomy and chemical nature. The phytochemical study of several drugs reveals that there is a close relationship between chemical contents of plants and its taxonomical status. Thank you.